Today we're diving deep into the world of Felix Mendelssohn. We're going beyond just the surface. We're trying to find those little details, those stories that really make him come alive.
Like those little hidden gems you discover.
Exactly. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? With his childhood.
Well, his upbringing was anything but ordinary. Born in 1809 in Hamburg, even as a young boy, his talent was undeniable. Imagine, he was writing operas, symphonies, all before he even hit his teens.
A true prodigy.
Absolutely. Sadly, though, a great deal of his early work was lost during the Second World War.
It makes you wonder what other incredible pieces might have been lost.
It does, doesn't it? A true loss for music lovers everywhere.
His family background adds another layer to his story. Coming from a prominent Jewish family, they later converted to Christianity.
It was a complex time, the 19th century. Many Jewish families felt pressure to assimilate.
Difficult choices indeed. Mendelssohn was lucky, though. He had an exceptional education.
And not just in music. He studied literature, art, he traveled extensively.
It all contributed to his growth as a musician and a person.
At just 12 years old, he even formed a friendship with the great writer Goethe.
Think about that. Goethe, one of the giants of European literature.
Exactly. It shows just how exceptional Mendelssohn was, even at that young age. Goethe saw something special in him. Their bond shaped his worldview.
It must have been incredible to have a mentor like Goethe. Imagine having your talent nurtured by someone like that.
He was clearly destined for great things.
So we have a young man, immersed in music, art, literature, connecting with influential figures. What a foundation. Now let's talk about his travels, his adventures across Europe. They played a huge role in shaping his music, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. When he was just 19, Mendelssohn took his first trip to England, conducted his own symphony in London.
The beginning of a lifelong connection with that country.
And then there's his journey to Scotland. It turned out to be particularly inspiring.
I can see why.
Those landscapes, the wild beauty of the Hebrides, it captivated him. And that trip directly inspired one of his most famous works, the Hebrides Overture, also known as Fingal's Cave.
A piece that perfectly captures the feeling of the Scottish landscape. It's like you can hear the waves crashing, feel the mist in the air when you listen to it.
He truly had a gift for translating his experiences into music, painting pictures with sound.
But his travels didn't stop there. He went all across Europe, experiencing different cultures, different musical styles.
It wasn't just about composing. He was absorbing everything around him, letting it influence his work.
He even had a rather interesting encounter with the composer Hector Berlioz.
Oh yes, they were quite different, both as people and in their music.
Tell me more about that story with the batons.
Well, Berlioz, known for his dramatic style, he presented Mendelssohn with a large, heavy baton made of limewood. Mendelssohn, in return, he gifted Berlioz a much smaller, more delicate baton, made of whalebone.
It's a funny anecdote, but it really highlights their different approaches to music. Berlioz, the showman. Mendelssohn, perhaps more refined.
And it was during this period that he also started composing his Songs Without Words, a collection that became incredibly popular.
They're still enjoyed today.
They're full of charm, these piano pieces. They showcase his melodic gifts, his ability to communicate a range of emotions purely through music.
And as we delve deeper into Mendelssohn's life, we'll see how his experiences, the good and the bad, are reflected in his music.
It makes his story even more compelling. Mendelssohn's life, it was filled with both highs and lows, triumph and tragedy. And those experiences, well, they found their way into his music. It's one of the things that makes exploring his work so fascinating.
In 1835, his father passed away. A significant loss for him.
It was a turning point. It led him to complete his first oratorio, St. Paul.
A deeply personal work, I imagine.
Very much so. St. Paul reflects Mendelssohn's own struggle with faith, with spirituality, in the face of such a loss.
But amidst this grief, there was also joy. He found love.
In 1837, he married Cécile Jeanrenaud. Their marriage brought him happiness, stability.
A reminder that even great artists need love and support to flourish.
Absolutely. Cécile, she was a constant source of support for him. She understood the demands of his creative life.
And then there's the profound bond he shared with his sister Fanny.
Fanny was an incredibly talented composer herself. Their musical connection, it ran very deep.
They influenced each other, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. They exchanged ideas, offered each other encouragement. Their relationship was a source of great inspiration for both of them.
It makes you wonder how that sibling dynamic shaped their creativity. They weren't just brother and sister, they were musical confidants.
Sharing a unique language, a language of music. And it was during this time that Mendelssohn began work on his violin concerto in E minor.
A 6-year journey.
a masterpiece that continues to move audiences today. It's a testament to his understanding of the violin, its technical brilliance, its lyrical beauty.
Those soaring melodies, the way the soloist and orchestra interact, it's incredibly powerful.
It's as if he poured his entire being into that work, allowing us a glimpse into his soul.
Speaking of pouring emotion into music, let's talk about his overture to A Midsummer Night's Dream, composed when he was only 17. Amazing.
He was able to capture the magic of Shakespeare's play, the mischief, the wonder. The overture is full of life, vibrant melodies, delicate orchestration.
You're instantly transported to that enchanted forest when you hear it.
The way he uses woodwinds, especially a flute, creates an ethereal sound. It evokes the world of fairies, of dreams.
And then there's that touch of humor, the braying of the donkey represented by the bassoon.
It's delightful, a blend of whimsy and elegance. And it's worth noting that this overture, it was just the beginning. Years later, he went on to compose incidental music for the entire play,
Adding even more depth to his original vision. His songs without words, they also showcase his gift for creating these evocative musical landscapes.
each one a story without words, like little windows into his soul.
And so carefully crafted, full of melodic charm.
Take the spinning song, for instance. With its rapid, repetitive figures, you can almost feel the energy, the busyness.
And Venetian Gondola Song, it transports you right to the canals of Venice. The gentle rocking motion, each piece a treasure.
They're remarkably evocative. It's as if he bottled emotion imagery and poured it into these miniature piano pieces.
His mastery of orchestral color, it's evident in his Italian symphony.
His Symphony No. 4, full of life and energy, inspired by his time in Italy. It captures the warmth, the vibrancy of that country.
It's like a sonic journey.
The first movement, so exuberant, and then the second movement, more introspective, reflective. The third movement, a graceful waltz. And finally, the finale, a whirlwind of excitement.
A triumphant end.
He blended classical forms with romantic sensibilities. It was a new direction, pushing boundaries while still respecting tradition.
His music, it bridges eras, combining clarity with emotional depth.
And we can't forget Elijah, his grand oratorio.
A monumental work.
It brings the biblical story of Elijah to life, exploring themes of faith, doubt, the power of the divine. It's incredibly moving.
It showcases his skill in choral writing, creating moments of grandeur and intimacy.
The choruses are majestic, the solo areas filled with emotion. It's an experience.
Especially when performed well. These diverse pieces, they offer a glimpse into the many facets of Mendelssohn's genius.
His mastery of the orchestra, his gift for melody, his ability to evoke emotion, to tell stories through music, it's all there.
We've really explored the depths of his compositions. His genius is undeniable, but his impact on music, it goes beyond his own work.
Oh, absolutely. He was a true force.
Yeah.
He shaped the musical landscape of his time. He was a conductor, an educator, a champion of other composers.
Let's start with his conducting. He was known for his energy, his precision.
He had this deep understanding of the orchestra, how to balance the sound, create those dynamic performances.
And he had a real passion for Bach.
Whose music was largely neglected at the time. Mendelssohn's 1829 performance of Bach's St. Matthew Passion, it was a turning point.
Held in Berlin.
Yes, it sparked a renewed interest in Bach's work, leading to a revival and eventually Bach's recognition as a cornerstone of Western music.
It says a lot about Mendelssohn, his respect for musical history, his dedication to preserving these great works.
He wasn't just focused on the past, though. He was also dedicated to nurturing new talent. In 1843, he helped found the Leipzig Conservatory,
which quickly became one of the most prestigious music schools in Europe.
He brought in some of the leading musicians of the day to teach there, including Robert Schumann.
Imagine the talent gathered in one place.
The curriculum was rigorous, focused on technical skill, but also artistic expression.
He wanted to develop well-rounded musicians, not just technically proficient.
Exactly. His vision for the Leipzig Conservatory, it was to create future generations of musicians. Musicians who would contribute to the art form as a whole.
And his legacy as an educator, it's still felt today. The Leipzig Conservatory, it remains a leading institution.
His vision continues to influence the careers of countless musicians.
Mendelssohn's impact, it also goes beyond his compositions, his conducting, his teaching. He was incredibly supportive of other composers, a true champion.
He recognized his sister Fanny's talent early on, encouraged her to pursue her musical ambitions.
At a time when it was very difficult for female composers to be taken seriously.
He saw her potential and championed her work.
He also recognized the genius of Robert Schumann, helped to establish his reputation.
Mendelssohn's willingness to support his contemporaries, it speaks volumes. He understood that music thrives on collaboration, mentorship, the sharing of ideas.
It's a valuable lesson. So as we conclude our deep dive into the life and music of Felix Mendelssohn, we're left with this portrait.
Of an extraordinary figure.
A brilliant composer.
A skilled conductor.
A passionate educator. A true advocate for music.
His life may have been cut short, but his legacy, it lives on.
His music continues to resonate with audiences around the world. It speaks to us across time and space, conveying a range of human emotions.
It transports us. It reminds us of the power of music, to move us, to inspire us, to connect us.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Felix Mendelssohn.